Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, June 8. On this date in 1988, the NWA held its Clash of the Champions 2 Miami Mayhem Supercard. In the main event, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard fought Dusty Rhodes and Sting to a double disqualification in a match for the NWA Tag Team Championship. On this date in 1997, the World Wrestling Federation held its King of the Ring pay-per-view. In the main event, The Undertaker pinned Farouk to retain the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 1998, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Auburn Hills, Michigan. In the main event, Sting defeated the Giant. On this date in 2008, TNA held its Slammiversary pay-per-view. In the main event, Samoa Joe defeated Booker T, Christian Cage, Rhino, and Robert Roode in a King of the Mountain match to retain the TNA Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, June 8.
Could I have timed that any better?
Timed what any better?
Man, don't you notice anything? Well, that was on. I went up and got a cup of coffee and everything and got back it was just in time.
Why are you breaking the fourth wall?
This is my contribution to your show.
This is your contribution to the show.
I try to be nice to you. I try to help you out, and look how you act. All right,
well, it is appreciated. I figured the coffee would, sink in first before making that kind of contribution.
I haven't even drank the coffee yet. I just jumped.
You poured the coffee, came back, all in that minute-long clip of Today in Wrestling History. Minute and 5 seconds.
And I sat down just in time to hit the mic on.
Well played.
Now, am I not a professional or what?
You certainly are.
And anyway, go ahead. Your show.
A professional that should answer the phone.
Well, I can answer it. We stopped talking.
All right, I'll go ahead and do that then. Oh, goodness. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB. Just having a little fun. Fearon Derry here, bringing you some news, notes, stuff to talk about. Actually, we'll take care of some news and notes, and we'll get to the phones.
There was a arthritis diagnosis person who wanted to know if we've been diagnosed with arthritis.
I haven't been diagnosed yet, but I think I have an arthritic finger. But
okay, well, there's another line ringing. I assume this one's a little more on the level.
This one's a little more on the level? Okay. That works. All right, some bits of news and notes here. Now, I mentioned it earlier. I'll go ahead and throw this out there. A former ECW champion and his family robbed at gunpoint. That's right. Former ECW champion Justin Credible, Peter Polacco, PJ Polacco, and his family were robbed at gunpoint by 3 criminals. This was a TMZ story. He told TMZ that he and his wife were sleeping in their Waterbury, Connecticut home when family members woke them up and told him that they were robbed. Justin's brother and parents were tied up and asked where the family safe was while he and his wife slept in another room. The kind of, slight positive to the story is that all they got out of it was about $5. So the guns that they had were worth more than what they took from Justin Credible. So, if anything, all they took was the livelihood of having been robbed at gunpoint. Go figure. Also, The Rock, he's got a reality show now, and it debuted this past Thursday, and it drew more viewers than TNA. The premiere of WWE star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's reality show, The Hero, produced 1.53 million viewers for TNT on Thursday. That's roughly 500,000 more viewers than last week's TNA Impact. How crazy is that? All right, let's go ahead and get over to the phones here. We've got John from the Northeast. I think we'll get him up here. Got B up there, Thought we had John here. We got you now, John?
Here I am.
There we are. I was going to say, that sounds a little bit better than a dial tone.
Well, at least this time, anyway. It was like the last time I said that Enterprise was trying to get communication from Starfleet.
Oh, there we go. All right. Well, I see you've been posting a bunch of video game stuff here, and I have to admit, some of it is even above my head. Well,
you know what it is? It's they're just making it more and more in depth. If I'm confused, then there's a problem.
Yeah, I've hit that age where I'm not playing video games like I used to. So I'm looking at your Connect post that's on there, which of course Facebook had to go and refresh and reset itself here. So I'll pull it up in a second. But Something about Connect and a pipe bomb.
Yeah, the CM Punk.
Well, I got the CM Punk pipe bomb reference, but I know Connect is kind of the motion thing that was attempting to compete with the Wii, but I can't put two and two together.
I actually have it, and I really, really like it. I just don't have enough room space for it.
I got that. I have a similar issue with DDP Yoga. Don't have enough room to get into all the different positions that the DDP's throwing out there.
Now, when you do the yoga moves, you don't have to, like, yell out bang, do you?
No, although actually at the very end, that's one of the last things is he has you basically take your hands, put them in the diamond cutter symbol, take, as he puts it, take your biggest breath of the day, push your hands out, exhale, and then usually there's the delivering of the diamond cutter bang symbol. So yes.
He seems like he's a very down-to-earth, cool kind of guy. I mean, I was listening to the interview, and like I've been following it like on your Facebook, how you've been updating with like your status and everything. It seems like he's got really good going on after wrestling, and it's something that's a little bit refreshing as opposed to what we always see on TMZ or Twitter or wherever else we go to. So it's actually kind of cool to actually see that.
Yeah, he's not somebody who you're going to see his mug shot somewhere. You're not going to see him arrested for drugs or alcohol. I mean, he's trying to get other people off of it. I mean, what he's done with Jake Roberts is amazing. What he's working on with Scott Hall, that's obviously a work in progress, but that's still really cool. I mean, if I could afford it, I'd want to visit down there to the accountability crib just to see how they're both doing. But, I mean, for now, I'm just working on getting myself... Just feeling a little bit better, getting the flexibility going in the lower back, the hamstrings, and just even after 30 days, it's crazy now.
It's also good that we're not going to hear that he married somebody that's like 28 years old, and she didn't know who Nature Boy was, and has to get a restraining order and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I mean the stuff with Tammy Sitch that's going on.
But I'm really happy for him because it seems like most WCW guys are having a real hard time. I mean, we know Scott Hall and all that, and Kevin Nash has always had his health issues, and now there's talk like with Sting having a bit of a falling out with TNA management, and it's just really it's actually interesting for him, especially because he was kind of always like mid card, or he was kind of like always like almost main event, and then the NWO came along and he got put into that shuffle. But he was always one of my more entertaining wrestlers, including when he came over to the WWE and he was like masked and he was doing the Undertaker's motorcycle gimmick. I thought that was a really, really cool like introduction for him when he came over.
Yeah, that's oh man.
That goes like, what was that, like 2002, 2003? That's a long time ago. That was Invasion.
I was gonna say the era that Vince doesn't want anybody to speak of.
Or remember, yeah. It's out of sight, out of mind for him. Yeah, we're blocking it out like the Katie Vick incident.
I was going to say like the Zubas, but that works too.
That's always on there. It's up there, but it's certainly...
No, I think Zubas are on the verge or making a comeback or something.
Oof. It's funny to me to see like I read like on Twitter and everything during Raw and everything, and people should know that when something's trending, when Michael Cole sputters out that this is trending worldwide, Twitter is constantly updating. So if something's on the top 10, it's instantly gone the moment he mentions it. But I had to get that out there. But
you're very right about that, because usually there have been a few times where he's saying, especially I've seen it on pay-per-views, this is trending, and then I go to Twitter and I'm like, no, I kind of call BS on this because it's not in the top 10 right now.
It's so instantaneous. It's very hard to get like number one. Like not even Sony and Microsoft during their little events when they show up the new consoles made number one. And this week they probably won't make number one because there's always something going on. There's always something people are talking about. But one thing I found that was pretty interesting is the level of frustration people are starting to have with Raw's booking and Ryback's push, and how people feel that he should just be back to where he was and not in the main event scene anymore. That's the one thing that comes up kind of. Cause that, and also the Randy Orton's heel push and all that, but the Ryback, that Ryback story about him not winning at pay-per-views and the Sting situation seem to be trending pretty heavily, among other things.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting from this past week, and it probably should be trending, but it isn't, is oh dear, is the sign that somebody had up. We want 2 hours.
Yes.
that was pretty popular.
Whenever people have like signs like that, that's where the brilliance of the internet comes into play. See, they want us to have fan interaction, but to what they define as fan interaction. So when somebody comes out with a sign like that, or we want 2 hours, or they have like a Botchamania sign, or they reference the message boards or other companies, it's always good to see the fans kind of like get back at them for that, and especially if the fans are close enough and they're making their little Titantron entrance videos.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then you get to see one of those signs kind of like sneak into there, so it's kind of like victory for the fans.
A little bit. I mean, it's one of those things that most people aren't necessarily looking for. That's the other kind of kicker to it.
Yes, it's like, well, I mean, I don't fine tooth and comb everything, but when I do notice it, I like to screen cap it for a few minutes and then just delete it and remember that I gotta do whatever it is that I'm doing that keeps me making money or whatever.
Definitely, it's all about having fun. That's at least the attempt of things here.
I mean, I haven't because I've been reading about the disappointment people are having about Raw, and people are just like kind of like unanimous about it. And they're like saying that there's going to be a major shake-up and creative. They got to do something, but if it means dropping that third hour, which I'm kind of for as well, because it's particularly now with the with the NBA playoffs going on, the Stanley Cup going on, baseball's going on, football's going to be coming back in a few months. They got to get something going. They got to get with it, or they're going to be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I mean, WWE always looks to, all right, we know that from the beginning of September to the end of December, most male fans are just going to go away for a little while. And exactly, go into hibernation. But, I mean, the ratings now are already at hibernation levels.
I mean, The Rock's reality show got more ratings than the rival show. I mean, if it's going to get to the point where he's going to be on par with Raw, I mean, people are going to be rather watching the reality show than they're going to want to watch the scripted reality show as opposed to the scripted wrestling show, and it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I think everything's just kind of tunnel visioned or streamlined. I'm worried where they're going with Bound for Glory series, as they're starting it up next week, and we've got roughly 4 months of intertwined matches between 12 different people.
Yeah, and in between all that, no character development and no story. It's just the same business as usual.
Well, I guess for people who are all about the wrestling, it'd be great as long as the matches aren't like 2 minutes apiece. Like
throwaways, like most of the time, like when they have these long gaps. But I will say this, at least TNA is trying, more publicly trying, as to where WWE does it like behind the scenes and then they deny that they're doing anything. Like the elimination of all those shows and cutting back on their pay-per-views is always, it's good, but that has to translate as well. And I think that's where they've been having pretty significant issues. But if the WWE were smart and they did that, I think if they had gaps in between their pay-per-views, it would actually be a lot better. But also
because you'd be able to build to it.
Yeah, and then you got to have guys stay healthy too. I mean, that's another wild card into this.
Well, it seems like the injuries have allowed other people to kind of shine a little bit, or at least get opportunities to. I mean, the Dolph mentioning the Dolph Ziggler injury, here's somebody who legitimately has been out for the last month with a concussion, and actually he will be back tonight. He's returning to the ring tonight. He is advertised against Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship at tonight's live event in Johnson City, Tennessee. And that'll be his first match back since suffering that concussion on May 7th. But, I mean, you look at that, and then you've got Triple H, who's basically a storyline equivalent of the same exact thing. But, I mean, Ziggler just got medically cleared to wrestle, but is there anybody saying, well, for his safety, no. So that shows that Triple H is more important than Dolph Ziggler as far as getting his brain scrambled.
Well, the heir to the throne, no pun intended.
Well, no, that's the legit reality of it.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it also ties in with their traumatic, the ECT. I also think that's kind of a bit rotten that they kind of tie it in like that. Like you just said, they have a legitimate guy on the shelf with the concussion. But if it raises awareness for it, I'm all for it. I just find that it was kind of like maybe they should have avoided having Triple H do an angle like that and just let him work behind the scenes with Chris Nowicki and the Harvard University ECT study.
Yeah, the chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
The word CTE.
CTE.
I'm sitting here throwing out etc. What's the matter with me?
Oh, okay. I don't know. You're just throwing out examples and etc. Anyway, thanks so much for the call, John. I'm up against it here. We are closing in on the news pretty much imminently here. Appreciate the call as always. Thanks so much for the time. And yeah, that's going to do it for the show. We'll be back next week with a preview of Payback. And who knows what else. We'll talk a little bit more about Daniel Bryan. We didn't get to that this week. I'll have that clip for you for next week as well here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on WBCB.